For many people, running a car is one of their major monthly expenses. I mean, you've got to insure the thing and tax it, and then there's servicing and repairs, and it all adds up. The average cost of running a car in the UK is about £2,000 a year. And that doesn't even include buying the thing. You might have considered whether you can live without a car. I mean, there are many reasons to do that. It might be to save money, or you might be worried about the environmental impact of all those engines, or you might just want to be a bit healthier. Whatever, those are all valid reasons for ditching your car or moving from 2 cars down to 1. Now, an e-bike scores a tick against all those boxes because they're a brilliant way to get about in the city. They're inexpensive to run, they're zero emission, and they're a healthier option too. Here are our 5 tips for going car free. If you've got any tips of your own, add them in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell for more videos like this one. Once you sit down and actually think about how you use your car, you'll probably realise that the journeys you make are in part dictated by the fact the car is always available. And there's things you could do to make your journeys more bike friendly. For instance, if you're commuting to work, maybe you could pop into the shops on the way home more often so you don't have to do a bigger shop once a week. Or if you've got a commute that you do by car, is it possible to do that commute by bike? Is it short enough? If it's not, can you mix it up and use the train or the bus with a folding bike? You'll need to work out how many of those journeys you can complete by bike. But be optimistic, because all the research shows that people that ride e-bikes travel further than you'd expect and further than you would on a standard bike. If you're ditching your car completely, then realistically, you're going to need to do most of those journeys by bike. But if you're moving down from 2 cars to 1, you could be more selective about which you choose to do on an e-bike. Once you've worked out what it is you actually have to do, then you just need to find an e-bike that will fit the bill. And there's a massive range of e-bikes out there, so sooner or later you're going to find something that exactly fits your needs. One of the things you need to think about is what you need to carry. Now, if you've looked at the way you use your car and you've realised that most of the time it's just you and a bag of some sort, then pretty much any e-bike will do for that. There are other considerations, of course. I mean, if you commute by train or you're thinking of changing to the train, then a folding bike makes a lot of sense. And a folding bike like this Tern Vectron is also really good if you don't have a lot of storage space. It folds up nice and small, and you don't want to be leaving an expensive e-bike outside, locked to the railings in the rain. If part of your week is filling up a car boot with shopping or moving kids around, then you're going to need something that can carry more of a load. Generally, when we're talking about bikes replacing cars, this is the kind of territory we're in, the territory of cargo bikes. Cargo bikes come in many different shapes and sizes. This is the Tern GSD, one of our favourite bikes here at eBike Tips. You can put 2 child seats on the back, or you can have 2 bigger kids here in the clubhouse that we've got fitted to this bike. That'll also swallow a week's worth of shopping. Other ones will have a bucket on the front, like a Long John style, and there's also bikes with 2 front wheels that carry a big load. You'll often see delivery companies using those. There are other considerations too. Is the battery big enough to give you the range that you need? Is the motor powerful enough to get you up the hills that you'll find on your commute or on the way to school? Just as if you're buying a car, it's a case of weighing up all the pros and cons, finding the right balance. Swapping from a car to a bike doesn't necessarily mean just doing the same thing but on 2 wheels. For example, if you currently commute to work along a busy main road and you start doing that on an e-bike, chances are you're not going to enjoy it that much. And probably it's not the fastest way of getting from A to B. Before you commit to switching, it's a good idea to head out and see what the options are. Now, if you're already cycling around your own neighbourhood, you probably know about the cut-throughs and the traffic-free routes you can use. If not, ask some of your friends who do cycle, or join a local cycling group on something like Facebook. People are usually more than happy to help. There's a bunch of online tools you can use as well. Things like Google Maps, Strava, Ride with GPS and Komoot are all great for planning cycle routes. There's links to them all in the description below. Try a few different ones and see what works for you. Everyone's idea of what makes the perfect cycle route is different. If you commute to work every day by bike, you'd be surprised how many times you can do it in the dry. Now, on a showery day like today, if you're flexible with your leaving time, then normally you can dodge the showers, and something like a rain radar app on your phone is really good for being able to hit your window. That being said, there's going to be days when the weather just sets in and you're going to have to head out in the rain. If it's warm and wet, best thing to do is just take a change of clothes. Make sure you put them in a plastic bag inside your rucksack so that they're dry when you get there. Don't forget your socks and your underwear. If it's cold and wet, then the best thing to do is just layer up with a waterproof and some over trousers. Now, your feet will still be exposed, so best to keep your work shoes in your bag and wear something waterproof on your feet. Walking boots are good. Wellies often are even better. On an e-bike, you're not working as hard and you won't get as sweaty. So when you're looking at waterproofs, it's best to prioritise the water resistance over the breathability. If you're riding with kids, then obviously it's a bit miserable for them if they're getting wet, so good waterproofs and over trousers are a good idea. You can go further than that too. The Tern GSD now has a Clubhouse Fort accessory, which is waterproof on the back. So it's a fully enclosed dry space for them to sit in. And there are other cargo bikes that will have that on the front as well too. Even if it's not raining when you set out, be aware of what the weather conditions are. If it's been raining heavily, then the road surface spray can make a mess of your work clothes and of your shoes. So it's best to get out the over trousers if it's been raining heavily before you leave. Lastly, replacing your car with an e-bike doesn't mean you can't ever drive again. Now, there will be times when you need to do something that you can't do on your bike, and that's the excuse most people give for not switching. But in reality, most journeys are doable on two wheels, and in fact, research shows that most private cars spend about 95% of their time standing around doing nothing. And if you really need a car for a certain job, then most UK cities now have a car share club where you can pay a yearly or a monthly fee and then hire cars by the hour. If it's only going to be a couple of times a year, then you can just do a standard hire and that will probably work out cheaper. So there you go, those are our 5 tips for ditching your car for an e-bike. Thanks for watching. If you've got any comments, stick them below and we'll answer them for you. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for more.